Greetings, viewers at home. Siyanibingelela ababukela emakhaya. Welcome and welcome to another exclusive episode for Esther for such a time as this. Siyanamukela nonke emakhaya. As we all know that we are currently facing an enemy that we have never faced before, an enemy that has killed thousands and thousands of people across the globe, and all our resources are congested. Our earthly wisdom is failing us, as our scientists, they don't know what to do. But we all know that our hope is up in the sky. Our hope is in the Lord. And today I am joined by the essential workers, the health workers, as we discuss our topic, I am a woman and an essential worker. Welcome, ladies, into the show. How are you?
Fine, and yourself?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So, guys, I just want you guys to greet the viewers and introduce yourself.
Hi, viewers at home. Thank you for joining the show. My name is Dr. Lesego Mutibi. I'm a pathologist. It means that I'm a medical doctor and I specialized in the field of pathology. And to be specific, I'm a clinical microbiologist. And I'm happy to be here.
Welcome, Dr. Lesego. Hi, Sisi.
Greetings at home. I am Mahlatsi Mutupi. I am a medical technologist. I'm specializing in clinical pathology at the Lancet Laboratories, and I'm happy to be here.
Welcome. Finally, you guys are here. I just want to find out, how does it feel to be a woman in such a time like this?
I think, honestly speaking, as a professional woman, I would say as a medical doctor, one of the things that you know you are facing, be it whether there's an outbreak, whether there's a pandemic, you know that when you took that oath to say, I will help my people in need and take care of their health, whichever way that you, depending on your specialty. So I think for me, I honestly cannot say it's an easy time. It's a difficult time, but I feel blessed. One, that I reached my dream to be a doctor, and that I could, at this point in time, be helping and helping the nation of South Africa with this pandemic.
Wow. Interesting, doctor. I like that. The fact that you're saying you feel blessed. Yes, it's overwhelming, but you're feeling blessed. I like that. And you, Sisi?
Okay, for me, I would say that it's a bit of a challenge to be a woman in such a time. I mean, the reality of the matter is that we faced with the global pandemic, which is COVID-19, and it's affecting not only us in South Africa, but everyone. And then number two, we are having to face systemic racism, discrimination. You have to work 10 times more than your counterparts, be it a male or a white person. So it's challenging. Thirdly is the femicides, like you fear for your life.
True.
Yes, but it gives me pleasure to know that, okay, I'm also saving a life, going to bed knowing you go to bed with content, knowing that, okay, I did something to save somebody else's life. So, yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of girls that I've been interviewing the past 2 episodes, I think, they did mention the fact that it is good I'm a woman in such a time like this, but there are so many challenges that we are facing as women. As you just say, that the gender-based violence, we're facing a lot of challenges. But as I'm saying, I still feel blessed that I'm a woman, and I'm proud of being a woman. Challenges or no challenges, I'm still fine. And I'm happy that I'm a woman.
That's true.
And in such a time as this. Yeah.
That's true. That's
Welcome
true.
to Esther Show.
Thank you.
Esther Show.
Yes.
I always tell my viewers that when you guys come into the show, you have to read the book of Esther. You cannot come into the show without reading that book. So I just want to find out, what is it that you guys took from the book of Esther? any lessons that you learned from the book of Esther? Because the show was initiated based on that book. Yeah.
So there are lots of lessons, but maybe let me start by one of the ones that I like, and I think it's quite applicable for this season that we are faced with. It's chapter 4. I think the last 2 verses of chapter 4, verse 15 to verse 17, if I'm not mistaken. So in that chapter, that's remember Esther by birth is a Jew.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if the people around were not aware. They may not have been aware.
They were
And
not.
her being a queen in the palace, she was not aware at that point in time that there was a lot that was cast that was gonna put the lives of Jews in danger. But I like what, when she realized that Mordecai was, mourning, and when she realized that, she found out what is wrong. Why is he behaving like that? And on finding out, she realized that she had to do something, and which is what we as women have to do. When we realize that there is a problem, we have to do something.
We have to stand.
But
and
I
face
like
it.
what he did,
Yes.
what she did, in terms of, you realize that you have to do something, but she realized that she has to take the matter to God in prayer and in fasting. And when she took that to God, she also realized that she needed support of other people. So when she entered into that fast, she said, I will fast and
go.
tell the
Yes.
other people that, all the Israelites in, is it Shulam, or I can't remember the name of the place, that they all have to fast. And even my maid servant will also fast. So for me, it talks about, corporate prayer. It talks about, when you are faced with a challenge, you need to know when you can just, maybe it's just between you and God. But you also need to know when you have to call up for backup. And in a time like this, I think this is a time when we have to be, backing each other up. Whether you are an essential service or wherever you are, we need to be praying and fasting for each other.
I like what you said, Doctor, the corporate, that right now we need each other. We need each other. I just put it on my status not so long time ago that right now I don't need negativity. I don't need negative people, because this virus is a stress on its own. So right now I feel like we need to be positive. We need to have faith. We need to believe that it's going to be okay. And I don't need extra negativity around me. I like what Doctor just said, that we need to back each other up.
Cooperative
We
prayer.
need to be, yeah, hey? Okay. Are you see?
Wow, I've learned a lot. Okay, one of the highlights for me in the book of Esther is that if you, there's a specific purpose that God has created you for, ne? So if you do not position yourself for that, God might use somebody else for it. So had Esther not listened to God, had she not been obedient, maybe God would have used somebody else and we wouldn't have had Esther in the book. So we would have had somebody else. And the fact that she was selfless, she was willing to put the needs of other people before her own. She was just that person, Nje, to say, I'm not doing it for
It's not
me.
for me.
And it's not about me having to get something in return, but me being obedient to God and understanding that there's a specific purpose for my life, and maybe I am the voice for those people.
True. I like what you said. We all have a purpose. For the past, I think, 2 episodes, we spoke about a lot about purpose. That we all were created for a purpose. And we all need to tap into that purpose. Because when God created you, there's a reason. There was something that he saw, we need this. And I need someone else to come and do this. And it's you. I like what you just said. So you are a doctor, like medical doctor, any special,
Pardon?
any specialty?
I have specialized, like I said, I specialize in pathology and clinical microbiology, to be specific.
Okay, some of us are just accountants, so we're really not sure what is that. Please just, and also for our viewers, like pathology, what is that?
So when we talk about pathology is because with health, you are healthy or unhealthy.
Okay.
So with, the doctor that you meet on a day-by-day basis, maybe your GP, the physician, the obstetrics, they are in a way dealing with you being in maybe a sick state. However, for us to fully diagnose you, you probably have taken blood tests, you probably have taken, other tests like maybe a sputum, you were sick, you had to give urine for it to be tested to see what infection you have. So with my specialty, I like saying I traded my stethoscope for a microscope. So I basically deal with infectious diseases. But I deal with infectious diseases at a level of the diagnostic part, meaning that when you have TB, for the doctor, the other clinician can suspect that, according to these symptoms, this person has TB. But for them to be sure, they have to collect a sputum, send it to the lab for us to say this is indeed TB. And with this TB, this is how you're going to treat it. So that is the part, that is my part. So that is my specialty. That's what I specialized in.
Okay. So, doctor, how does it feel to be a woman who's an essential worker? Because you guys are at the forefront right now. So how does it feel? Because for me, I don't know, luckily I work from home, so yeah, but I feel for you because I'm like thinking, you guys have to wake up every day and go to work in such conditions. Yeah.
I think it's, honestly speaking, as any other human being, it's a very anxious time. Every day you wake up, you don't only know about patients that are positive, you also know about colleagues that are positive, COVID positive, that is, they have been diagnosed with COVID. And you also hear about people, healthcare workers who succumb to the disease, they die. So it's in a time like this, there is anxiety.
I can imagine.
But you know that even through this anxiety, even through this stage where there is fear, I need to be there to play my part in order to help with the pandemic. So that's basically how I feel in terms of me as a healthcare worker, going every day to work, knowing that...
So the most important thing as a health worker right now, it's to save lives.
Yes. To help in saving lives, because at the end of the day, any human being's life is in the hands of God. True. But God is using us in order to save that life.
So you're just a vessel. I always tell people that I know that for me, I believe being in medical, like a nurse or a doctor, for me it's a calling. Not everyone can stand for that. Because I remember when I was doing matric, it's either I had to choose between being an accountant and being a doctor. And for me, medicine was like, no, hell no.
You didn't want to see blood?
No, blood. Because I was like, no. And I know that I'm sensitive. I cry easily. So when I see someone not feeling well, I'll definitely cry. So guys, I respect your field, I must say. And for you, Sisi, how does it feel to be an essential worker?
In a time such as this, it's very challenging. It's very challenging because now you're exposing yourself to this virus And to be honest with you, I never ever dreamt of being in the medical field ever. Yeah, never.
Okay.
It was by chance, and I believe that it's God placing me there for a reason, and I ended up falling in love with what I do.
Okay, what do you do exactly? Because you also spoke about some.
So I work in the lab.
Oh.
I run tests, and then I need to know the normal and the abnormal, which is the healthy and the unhealthy. And then I get to report to the doctor, and then our pathologist, like Dr. Lesego, would actually authorize and say, okay, the results that you are releasing or authorizing to the physician that is requesting are actually accurate. If he's querying something or if she's querying something, they'll actually say, okay, no, Mahlatsi, you need to rerun something. The results that you're releasing do not tally. They do not match with the other clinical picture. So that's what I do in the lab.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I do.
So how does it feel?
It's challenging because you
And you work in hospital?
Yes, I work in a hospital. It's in a hospital setup. You're exposed to this and hearing about, because initially we took it lightly. We thought, no man, something that's going to blow over and until the numbers of people dying, rising, and the number of infections, and now your colleagues now start testing positive, and then now the workload starts increasing because now you're working alone. They're trying to maintain this social distancing thing in the work environment since there are positive cases. You can't go home. It's a very stressful environment to be in because you also can't be with your family. You're all alone here. So with me, I can't just decide and say, okay, let me drive to Mpumalanga and see my parents. No. You are here, you need to do what you are called for. You remember what you took. You took an oath and said your patients would come first. So they come first, your life. You said you would die for the people.
Wow. So you guys make that point.
Yes.
You're going to die for us, eh?
You're a soldier, die for them.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yes.
So right now, you're like, no, it's
You
my
are there.
work first.
It's, yeah, you, rather gufe mina, gufe a patient. You need to put yourself out there. And it's very
So there's
difficult.
no leave, nothing at the moment.
It's difficult to take leave at this time because there are people who are taking leave due to them being sick. So you can't just say, okay, I want to take leave. Who's going to be left with the lab if you're not around? So you can't.
Oh, wow. Wow, I respect you guys. I really, really do respect you. This is challenging, I can imagine.
It's very challenging. And like, you know, every morning you wake up, I actually, you know, thank God for the gift of life and for every breath that I take. And remember that this thing, as much you have taken an oath, but there are days when it's so difficult that you feel like, I cannot put my
life.
I have a child, or I'm married. I cannot put my life through this. But because of that oath and because of the love of what you're doing,
what you do,
and I think you need to draw your strength from God in times like this. Yeah, you need to draw your strength from God.
Wow. So what other challenges are you facing, let's say, at work? Okay, let's start with personal challenges. I believe you are married and you've got a child.
Yes.
So what challenges are you facing as a woman who's in essential work personally?
Okay. So remember when the lockdown started, there was, I was fortunate that my helper agreed to stay on.
Okay.
Because people, I know friends that their helpers had to say, no, I'm leaving.
Go home.
And my helper is from Lesotho. And I know most of people from Lesotho, they just left. She agreed to stay, which I felt like, you know what, it's a blessing. Because you can imagine, my husband is also had to continue working. So if my son had to be, if my nanny was not there, if my helper was not there, it means that my son will not have anyone to look after. He's only 10, so obviously he still needs someone to be there in the house for. So I know that some of my colleagues had to face that thing that, I need to come to work, but I don't have a helper. And so that's one challenge. And sometimes you even need to put on an like extra hours, either working from home or at work, so that you push the workload. So that on its own obviously puts strain on the family. You can't be with them because you need to be adding extra hours. And I remember the other day, you know, with the challenges, especially during this lockdown, my helper, I cook with gas. I have a gas stove. She sends me a message that the gas is finished, and she hadn't finished cooking. So obviously, coming back from work, I needed to think, okay, I said to her, okay, don't worry, I'll buy food as I pass by Woolies. I get there, the shelves are empty.
Oh my God.
There's no takeaway.
And
That day, that's when I really felt the challenge. Like, you know, I took it for granted there's food, you can go, you know,
Yes.
but, you know, there are those things that will remind you that this challenge is real. And at that time, they closed at 5, you know, with level 5.
Oh,
The
yes.
shops were closing at
Exactly
5. I knock off at 4:30. And by the time I get to the shops,
shops are
they are
closed.
closed.
Go
If
to
I'm lucky, it's like, you know, please, can I?
And
It's
then they
5
just
to
allow you
yes,
to.
and they just allow you. So that day was so stressful. I got there. The shelves were empty, and any, you know, there were no readily available food. And I get get home, get the gas to fill. It's there. There's no gas.
Oh my God.
So that day I felt like, as I am working, saving other people's life, other people are able to buy. And by the time I get to the shops, there's nothing for me to buy. So those are some, I mean, it's minor challenges,
But it's a challenge.
It's a challenge.
'Cause
That
you
day,
are a woman,
yes, that
and you
day
have
I
to
felt
look
it.
after your family.
Yes, I felt it. I felt that, you know what, this is real. You know, yeah, and obviously other challenges at work where, you know, colleagues, they are not feeling well, and I mean, especially with this a season of flu. This is the flu season,
yes,
you know. But unfortunately, you don't know whether is it just a common cold, is it
But
COVID?
now it's COVID.
And because we get screened at work, if you have not been feeling well, you have to go back home. So it means whoever is left there, you know, to pull the load of, you know, working for two people.
Two people.
So it's been quite a challenge, but you know, it's a challenge that as you wake up every day, you ask for the strength from above.
God.
Yeah.
From
You ask
God.
for
You can't
strength
do it
from
on your
above.
own.
Yes.
Because I think right now the solution is God, for me.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Because if it's the whole world challenge, then which means really we can't do much as human beings.
That's true.
So the solution is God.
That's true.
And you, Sissy, what are the challenges?
I don't have a family of my own as yet.
Single lady?
So the challenge would be, okay, working long hours, of course, and then like Doc has mentioned that you would knock off at 7. So you'd work 7, you knock off. There's no food. All shops are closed. You are exhausted.
No takeaways.
No takeaways. You can't call, and then now you have to revert to noodles.
And that's not nice.
There's not much you can do, so then you'd have to make up something real quick because you're exhausted. You have an early shift tomorrow morning. Most of the staff members would say maybe they're sick, they have responsibilities or whatever. So you're all alone. So you are those are the challenges that you would face, especially as a healthcare worker. And people they're like, no, you have it all sorted out, you cool. No, there are other challenges that we choose not to talk about, but yeah, it's a challenge on its own.
It's a challenge. The workload.
The workload, and they want results, like the turnaround time. You should also considering the turnaround time, because there's someone who's dying. They want to admit a patient. You have this much work on the bench that you need to process, and calibration failures, and so it becomes a problem. It becomes a problem, and then it seems as though you're not competent enough for what you're doing, because the doctor on the other line, he's frustrated. He wants to admit, and more or less the results are not ready simply because of the workload. So you would work on a first in, first out kind of situation. I'll work up until where I feel, then I'll hand over to the next person. He will do the same until. So it's not a come in, you give me your sample, I process now. I have to process whatever it is that came in first. So it becomes a challenge.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge. Wow. Interesting, eh? Viewers at home, I hope we understand that when we don't listen, when the government said, let's stay at home, we're putting strain on our health workers. We're putting strain on our essential workers. It's not only about you that, no, I need to go do some shopping. You're putting their lives in danger as well, not only for them and for their families, because now they have to work extra hours because the numbers are rising every single day. So whenever you decide to be negligent, don't just only think about yourself, but also think about them they have to wake up every day and put that bravery face, hoping that they won't catch the virus, hoping that they won't contract the virus. So let's stop being selfish. Viewers, let's stop this. Because most of the people, they think this is not real.
No. Yeah, for some, yeah, it's still a joke. Because Linda, personally, I thought, it's just a conspiracy theory, because I had read some book, and then I'm like, man, it's gonna go away now. It's just gonna blow over until someone at work tested positive, and now we have like 4 or 5 cases where I work. So you're like, this is real. And looking at the stats, people think, oh no, man, those numbers are cooked. No, those numbers are real, and the results are accurate. So people are like, no, man, it's just one of those things. Like, I was one of them as a healthcare worker thinking it's a conspiracy theory. It's not. COVID is real, and there are people that I personally know that have succumbed to it, like succumbed to diseases related to COVID. So you don't want to gamble with your life. True. Stay at home if you do not really need anything. If you can work at home, from home, do so.
This is real.
It is real.
Yeah, it is. It's quite real. And you know, one thing about this, it doesn't check your status.
True.
It affects professors. I mean, from my work of line, professors. It affects, cleaners. It affects anyone and everyone can be infected. So we really need to be
cautious.
To be extra. I always say to people, please be extra cautious. This is not the time to be thinking that I want to see it. You don't want to see it. This is not the time to say, I don't know anyone. You don't even want to know anyone, because you don't want someone that you know and love and care about to be infected. Yes, the number of people who are recovering, it's high, but that one person that dies, or that number of people that died, they left their parents, they left their siblings, their children. So it's real.
It's real.
It is real.
We have not been given the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind.
Thank you.
Even during this circumstances and season, we still need to have faith.
That's true.
That God
actually
is with
faith
us.
is. I always say, you can listen to the news, you can listen to, you people send WhatsApp video clips of people with oxygen and the difficulty breathing. Yes, just look at that because you need to know the reality. However, dwell in the promises of God. And, if possible, just dwell in those promises. Read the word of God. If you feel like I've read enough, listen to a sermon. A sermon that encourages, fear not, worry not. So this is the message that you need to hear at this point. And this is the message that you need to know that, in God's time, this will be over. And I always say, we'll tell of the goodness of God after this has passed.
Yeah, after this,
I think also people will be able to see, Wuti, the God that we serve is so powerful. He's mighty through us who believe in him. It's not easy having faith in such a time.
it's not.
So you would have
But
to
we
need
have
the Holy Spirit to lead and guide you and say, Lord, order my steps. I need you now. I need you to, dwell on God's promises. Because,
It's
the
hard.
bird. It's really hard. It's really hard.
hard.
But yeah, we just need to support one another during these trying
need each
times.
other.
And
And
it
have
will blow
faith in
over
God.
and we will
When
be
we
able.
don't know when.
We
That's
don't
the
know
thing.
when, but
In
I believe
God's
that
time.
God,
In God's
yeah,
time.
when the time is right, He says, I will
Yeah.
make it happen. So
Yeah.
we need to trust in His promises, believe in His word because He's the word. So we need to trust Him.
Because as
But
I said,
Uthi
that
Singam,
right now, I believe the solution is
Is God. Yeah, it is.
Right now, who created heaven and earth. He knows more than we know. So right now, really, I think we need just to face up and ask God to
God for
intervene.
guidance to intervene.
If we've done something wrong, we plead.
Plead for forgiveness.
We forgive us if we've done something wrong.
Something wrong.
So I just want to find out, does this have any negative impact on your relationships, like your family-wise? Because I was reading in this newspaper, this other nurse saying that she's using not public transport. So she gets stigmatized in a taxi because she's wearing a uniform. They're like, no, we don't want to sit next to you. You work with people who are sick and all those type of things. And in one of the hospital in KZN, apparently the cleaners, the general workers, they didn't want to go into the ward of the patients because we don't want to catch that virus.
That virus.
So how is your relationship, whether it's family or...
I think with me, one of the things, when lockdown started, when they announced, I wanted to quickly go home and go see my parents are not, I stay in the south and my parents are in the Val. So it's quite a short distance. So I just wanted to go see them before the lockdown began. But unfortunately, at that time, I came into contact with someone who was suspecting and they were waiting for the results. So because of that, my parents are elderly. It was that stress of having to go see them, not knowing whether this person that I came into contact with, who has symptoms and had come into contact with someone who was positive. They have not received their results. Fortunately, they came negative. But unfortunately, lockdown, the results came after lockdown had started. So I couldn't see my parents. And when you explain to them, no, I'm not going to see you. For me, I feel the love that we can give our parents, especially for us who are so exposed, is to stay away from them. It's not easy.
It's not.
It's not
Because normally
easy.
for me, I'll go home every month.
Yes.
And I still want to go home. Because I feel like, oh my God, what if? Because you know they are old. You've got that thing with, maybe if I'm there, I'll, but you won't
But I
do
think
much.
for me, it was like, you know what? It's either I go and expose them, I can survive, they may not. So I promise you, it's the battle of the mind. And you have to be sensible about it. And we honestly trust in God. And with my son is very paranoid. I can't touch his things now.
Wow.
Because it's like, no, mommy, don't touch. If I want to use his Vaseline, don't touch my Vaseline, please, mom.
Because-
So he has become so, they also watch TV too much.
yes.
Yeah, so he has become like, no, not in this pandemic. We can't be sharing things not in this pandemic.
Wow.
So it is that thing, but I'm glad that he understands the magnitude.
Yes, yes.
The magnitude of the
Is
problem.
it back to school now?
He's back to school. He didn't want to go back. Yeah, I remember that he actually started last week, but it was already end of term. So what they have been doing online teaching. So he started a week, and then they are on a break now for 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it was that the first day he didn't eat at school because he doesn't want to take off his mask.
Oh, my God.
So
He's health conscious.
yeah, no, because if he takes off his mask, then it means he gets exposed. So he didn't want to eat. But anyway, and in terms of relationship, even with you also get to appreciate the support that you have. My husband's support, my helper's support. I honestly appreciate that, even during this difficult time, that there are people who, they are.
You've got support.
Yes, I've got support, emotional support, and people don't think, even with friends, and people don't think that maybe you are exaggerating, you are worried too much. Or people can talk and calm you down.
That's good.
So
Because I think we all need that right
Yeah,
now.
everyone needs that.
Everyone needs that right now. Because especially for you guys, the mental health.
yes,
Yeah,
that's true.
that's why.
I just want to find out, does the health department provide such sort of counseling? No, not
I
not
think
now.
I think with
now
our
they do.
with
Yours.
where
Your
they
organization.
do have
Mhm.
yeah, they do have that, but it's that kind of, you have to reach out, but it's available for even if a member passes away.
Okay. So
They recognize that, because there's a person that worked in this maybe laboratory who died, and people may feel like they know that this person died of COVID. They will be anxious. So there is that support, emotional
yeah,
support.
because I think that's necessary.
It is
That is
necessary.
necessary.
Yeah, it is necessary, and also I feel like updating, people who work in an organization and saying, these are the precautions that we are taking, and remember that this help is available. So at least there is that help out there.
Wow. Interesting, hey? But I just want to find out, I think our time is up now. Looking back before COVID-19, would you still say, I love my job? I love my job. I love my job. I want to do it every day and for the rest of my life. Before COVID and now.
And now,
And now, yes.
I think I still do.
Yeah,
You
it's a
still
big
laugh.
yes. It's a big yes.
So like I said, now I remember, as I think, I started school when there was sub A, sub B, so I'm that old.
Exposing yourself.
So I remember, I think I wanted to be a doctor, as I think I was either standard 1 or standard 2. That's what standard 2 is, what grade
Grade
4.
four.
Yeah. I always wanted to be a doctor.
And you're still happy with being a doctor right
I'm still
now.
happy with being a doctor.
Even
and
in
Still
such
happy
times.
with that odds that you made.
even in
like,
this time,
you
even
still
when
want to
it's-
wake up
yeah,
and go and work.
and help
Wow.
out there.
That's passion.
I'm still happy about my choice, my career choice, and I know in terms of specializing, like my father would say, why don't you open a practice there? When I specialized in this, my interaction with patient is not that high. But I do interact. We do go to rounds and all that. But it's not very, like your
The normal
other specialties where they touch. They are the primary
patients.
clinicians. So, but I know with my job, because right now, for people to know whether they are COVID positive or not, it's because of what we do in the lab. Because if we don't test, then the clinician may suspect, but they will not know that the person is indeed COVID positive or whatever infection that they may be having. So I'm still happy to do that.
Happy with your career choice. You're still happy being a woman who's a doctor, a woman in the front line, essential worker.
Even if I would still encourage other women to do it. To do it, and especially with pathology, I feel it's female friendly.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, if you don't want to be a surgeon, pathology is female friendly. So I would still do it, and I will encourage young doctors even to specialize.
Another COVID will come back and then be a doctor.
Yes, I'll be a doctor.
Wow. And you
I would say yes.
You still love it?
I still love it. Initially in high school, I think grade 10, 11, when you did well in your maths and science, they would be like, okay, why not be an engineer? And I'm from Emalahlen, so it's only it's only reasonable that I do engineering. And then I applied for an engineering course. I wanted to be a metallurgist. I'm here. I'm gonna be a metallurgist. And then during the registrations, they took me like our lecturer, who was medical technology lecturer, was like, okay, but you did well on your life sciences. Why not come? There's an urgent need of medical technologists in South Africa, so come through. That's how I got into medical tech. I had to go back home, go and Google what is medical technology, what it does, and I'm here today, and I love it. I would have been a terrible metallurgist anyway, so I'm a giver, so I think I'm good.
You're fine.
I'm fine.
You're
I'm fine.
Happy.
I'm happy. I would do it any day, anytime. Yeah, I'm happy helping people and saving lives.
Wow. Interesting. So as we all know, we're Christians. What's your take on this COVID-19 being a spiritual attack? Would you say? Yes, I know you guys are in medicals, you guys are in science, but in a spiritual life now, would you say this is a spiritual warfare?
I would like to believe it is. I would like to believe that it's a spiritual warfare, and the only way we would come out of this, like in the book of Esther, they had to fast so that their lives can be saved. They had to fast and pray. And there are certain things, I look at it, I'm thinking, at some point we say, no, this thing, at least 2-3 months, it will be over. But, it's taking longer than anticipated. Obviously, scientifically, it was something that it was projected that it's going to be big. So I believe that it's a spiritual warfare. And the only way it's, like Jesus said, some of these things cannot go out lest we fast and pray. You can pray, but lest we fast and pray. So I believe that with that lesson of Esther, I think we can take that forward and be involved. And you know what, we should do it like, be like that persistent widow who knocked at the judge's door. Multiple, no answer today, tomorrow. No answer today, tomorrow. So you can say, hi, we've been fasting multiple fasts. Let's
continue.
Let's do it. Have a break.
And
At it
pray.
again. Continuously, persistently, and we'll get the answer. God is about this.
And you, sis, what to take?
Yeah, I totally agree with Doc. You can be a scientist and view things scientifically, but as a spiritual person, this is not just something, Jay. It is a spiritual warfare. So we need to pray, you know, like we need to go deep in prayer. Like she's saying now, Utokuguti, even if you're not being answered now, but we need to hold on a little bit longer. God will respond. God will. He's a God that listens, so He can hear our prayers. We also need to go deep in fasting and seeking Him. Like, may His will be done. We need to pray in alignment with His will, and this will be over.
It will be in His time.
Yeah, and we have to believe that, like every day, despite what happens, we need to say, "This too shall come to pass," and we will live to tell of the goodness of God in the land of the living. We should hold on to that. Tell the goodness of God in the land of the living.
Because I also believe it's a spiritual warfare. I believe. And we all know the weapons in Ephesians 6.
That's
As
true.
it said, we're not fighting against blood and
And
flesh.
flesh.
So
It's in the
it's the
spirit.
spirit. And we have to put like
The
all the
armor of
armor,
God.
the armor of
That's
God
true.
right now, which
That's
is
true.
prayer,
Yeah.
the word of God. Wow. I can't let you guys go without making an awareness, especially as health workers. I would like you guys to do that and tell people, this is real. Yes, we are fighting against the spirit, but it is a real
The
thing.
physical
and
manifestations
yes,
are there.
Yes. Because the devil can't just operate anywhere else other than the body of someone, because it's a spirit.
True.
So he needs like a body of someone to operate
To
in.
operate,
and
yeah.
right now, it's our bodies that they're trying to attack. So can you just...
I think in what I would like to say to the viewers is, I would say take extra care. You know, when they advise us, they say put on your mask, wash your hands regularly for 20 seconds. If you don't have soap and water nearby, you can use your sanitizers. And I would also urge people to stay away from crowded areas. You know, if there is no need for you to be there, don't be there. Only be there when it is really necessary. So that's what I would urge people to do. Take extra care. This is real. And with those that believe that God will take us through this. And like I say, we shall live to tell of the goodness of God. But we need to adhere to what we need to do. We need to be extra careful and know that this virus is out there, and a virus is such a small thing. You cannot see it with your normal microscope. It needs other forms of microscopes, not the normal ones. That it needs a specialized lab to be able to view it under. So it's such a small thing, but it causes havoc. So let's be careful, and let's make sure that we adhere to the advices that are out there that have been stipulated.
Thank you, Doctor. That's my cat.
Your doc has said a mouthful. So, but then, Nami personally, I think people would have to be compliant, in order for uNkulunkulu uthi singamlingi, don't say uskare ubatla hutla kanama and say you're going out there ufuna ukubona ngawe ukuthi lento ikhona na. No. Let's be compliant. Let's listen so that we can be able to later see the power of God manifest in our lives. Wash your hands, stay at home, wear your mask. This thing is gonna blow over.
It will go
It
away.
will blow over.
When God says it must
When
go,
He
it
says
will.
it's the time, then it will happen.
But in addition, what I have for me, I see this as an opportunity to get closer to God. Unamatele like you've never namatelaed before to God. Like, playing, being like, this is the time when we have to seek the presence
The face
of
of
God,
God.
abide.
In
So
him and
that,
his word.
yes, and believe in his word and live according to the promises. You know, those promises, sometimes when fear, anxiety comes, just remember the promises of
Of
God.
the Lord.
Because, you know, sometimes you feel like, I'm overwhelmed. There's this, you know, people dying, your loved ones, some of them, you lose them. But just know that God said he will never leave us nor
Nor
forsake
forsake
us.
us.
Thank you so much, ladies, for coming into the show.
Thanks for
Unfortunately,
having us.
time is up.
Thank you for
Our
having us on
time
the
is
show.
up. And thank you so much for such an information and knowledge and awareness. And I must say I respect you guys a lot. I
you.
respect you a lot. And thank you, thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
guys.
Thank you.
know
Beautiful.
you are our Esthers of today since you are
Thank you.
on the front line.
The front line.
Essential workers. And you were raised for such a time as this.
Yes.
So walk with pride, ladies. Wow, I'm happy to have you
We're
guys
so happy
here.
to be here and honoring the invitation.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
viewers at home, there you have it. Our women who are at the forefront in such a time as this. Please, please, let's be cautious. Let's take care of each other. Let's pray for each other. They are all in science. The scientists, they are in the labs, and they know what is happening there. And for me, I believe, as they said, this is the time that we stand together. This is the time that we do corporate prayer. This is the time that we seek God. This is the time that we get close to God, hoping and trusting that He is going to heal the land. He is going to heal us. And we have the faith that ukhona and unathi ngaso sonke isikhathi. He said in his word, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. And I'll be with you in each and every step of the way. So whatever that we do, think about them. Think about them as women. Think about them as mothers who needs to go back at home without knowing Guti, they've contracted these diseases. So please, 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 let's be careful of whatever that we need to do. Wear the mask, sanitize, and we do all the necessary things that our government and our leaders have said. And this is indeed a spiritual warfare. So put on the armor of God. It is a war.
Amen.
And let's get ready. Soldier on. And on Esther, we just want to say bye. See you next time. And do stay tuned for our next episode. Bye.
Bye.
The word became flesh, and the word dwelt among us. But the world did not recognize him. And the Bible says he came to his own, and his own received him not. But all those who received him, he gave them power. He gave them power. Shout power. Our God can do anything, can do everything. But there is one thing that God cannot do. God cannot praise himself. God cannot praise himself. That is why God created me and you for one reason, to praise him. The gospel of Jesus is the gospel of power. For the preaching of the cross, to them that perish, is foolishness. But to us, which are saved, is the power of God.